If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to Chipmunk Baking. That's right, Chipmunk is a Houston-based small business that specializes in making delicious soft-baked cookies from all clean ingredients that maximize both taste and health. Their products have no sugar added, no artificial sweeteners, or sugar alcohols. Instead, they use monk fruit to make delicious, naturally low-carb cookies with no added sugar, perfect for gluten-free, low-carb, keto, and low-sugar diets, or for anyone looking for a more mindful dessert option. And right now, as a thank you to the listeners, for those looking to try the Chipmunk cookies, there is a special 15% off code when you go to their website at chipmunkbaking.com. That's Chip, C-H-I-P, Monk, M-O-N-K, Baking, B-A-K-I-N-G, chipmunkbaking.com, and there you can get 15% off when you use the code Sheila Mack, S-H-E-I-L-A-M-A-C. So 15% off using the code Sheila Mack when you go to chipmunkbaking.com. And let me tell you, they really and truly have made my dream come true to be able to eat healthy, protein and keto style cookies. I am gluten free and I do have to watch my sugars, so I do not eat any real sugar myself, and so this is really a gift, and I look forward to enjoying these over the years. Thank you again, chipmunkbaking.com.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Senami. She is an award-winning former engineer and corporate executive with 20 plus years of experience in her field. She's turned women's empowerment catalyst. After going through her own transformational process, she now helps women to execute radiance, tap into their feminine essence, and step into their power by teaching them to embody their inner queen. She is dedicated to supporting high-achieving women like herself, experiencing the same level of professional success in their love life and make it legendary. As a citizen of the world, she has lived her life abroad, spanning 10 countries in the last 20 years. She's incredibly sensitive to the impact of cultural conditioning on how and who we love. Certified coach in conscious uncoupling, calling in the one, erotic blueprint, feminine power, and the intuitive life strategist, she is undoubtedly able to support you in becoming a queen in your most extraordinary relationship. All right, welcome to the show, Senami.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor to be here with you.
Yes, and now this show actually came about based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And I dedicated an entire chapter to relationships. So it sounds like we have some relationship talk today. And I'd like to start by asking you if you have a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Well, I will have to share with you an experience I had when I was still in the corporate world, when I was still an engineer. I was working in a very masculine world on oil field rigs, actually. So most of the time I was the only woman. Sometimes there was like one woman and then 100 men. So what I really heard at one time was a conversation between some colleagues. They were talking about another person, and they said, this woman, she's really, really technically strong. But what they really meant was, she's a woman, but she's really, really technically strong. So what I really heard was, unless I really, really, really show up in a way that is always way more than my colleagues, I'm never really going to make it in this industry. So very early on in my career, because I heard this conversation very, very early on, I was like really working hard, and in masculine mood all the time. And I had no idea of what self-care really looked like, what self-love really looked like. So it was really a very good position, very great colleagues, and yet I couldn't find this peace in myself of really finding that I could thrive, that I could really feel fulfilled by just being me and just showing up the best way I could. So the lesson I learned was that I really had to be in a very masculine mode all the time. And to me, masculine mode simply means, and that's the stereotype that we have, it's really being in do mode, very rational mode, very logical mode, like really focusing more on structure, as opposed to being more in our empathy, our intuition, our generosity, our flow, and allowing just being sometimes. So then I realized that I needed to learn some other ways, because I didn't have role models around me. And from the outside, people thought that I really had it good, really, professionally. And I was paying very high price, because in terms of relationships, I didn't have the time. I didn't really make it a priority. So it really didn't work well at all. I actually forgot that I had to also think about my love life
Oh, right.
while building a career.
Yes.
So this has totally impacted how the rest of my life would be, because from the deep pain inside that most people could not see, because I was not really sharing much in terms of emotions. And that's also what people were valuing around me. People were valuing very tough people. And in fact, in my industry, people were saying, oh, this engineer, oh, this is a very tough person. Very tough. Yes.
Right. Yes. And you strike me as so incredibly feminine from the moment I met you, and not a masculine part of you that I saw, really. And it's interesting how that happens in the culture, in society. Now, my first like big job was when I was 18, and I actually worked at Jet Propulsion Lab in the engineering department. I was programming and doing a lot and working with these really top scientific engineers, making the spaceships and all that. And it was different. I was also a very young girl. And so the way there was a difference in how I was treated versus the guys. So I totally get being in those shoes and the expectation. It's like Tony Robbins talks about to be loved or enough. Is something that's so important to people. And so when there's gossip, or like the gossip, or the questioning of why you're not enough if you're not married comes up, and it's like, then you start doubting yourself.
Yes.
And you think, oh, well, but I want them to love me, to like me at least. So maybe I'll go marry the wrong person, which is
That's
worse.
yeah. It's
Let's rush
common.
into this. And so it really, things show up in a season in our life.
Completely.
And
Yes.
and it's a choice whether you want to do one thing or the other or both. It's still a choice, a personal choice. And I feel like if they don't like you or they don't like me for whatever I'm doing, then they're not really valuable for me as
Mhm.
friends. Like, that's okay. They're in a different part of their journey, and a lot of it is their own self-talk, their
Completely.
own judgment. So it's okay. It's it's okay. But it took me a long time. So when I was
Mhm.
young, I wasn't there. And I did that whole game,
Yes.
for a little while.
And it's true what you said that the younger generations have a different level of freedom
Mhm.
around really living their lives in a way that really feels aligned and really centered. The
Mhm.
way they're going to choose their careers, it has to be, it has to have like a purpose that they
Right.
really want to feel like, yeah, this is really me, this is really what I'm meant to be. They are less likely to just take any job just because it's safe, and they're willing to leave and do something totally different if
Mhm.
it feels more aligned. So now there is more emphasis on alignment, on really being authentic and true
Right.
to who we really are.
Mhm.
And the invitation to actually find our own truth is now alive. Now
Yes.
it's something that I'm noticing in all generations now, because with this crisis that we've been experiencing for the last um, couple of years, now people are reinventing themselves. They are reevaluating their priorities.
Mm.
So now we have more permission to totally redefine who we are, how we want to live our lives, because also we see that everybody else around us is also doing that. Everybody else is also doing that. So now there is more permission, I think,
So much.
more acceptance.
Yes, and see, my grandparents' friends, all these older ladies were like my extended village that raised me literally, like all these other grandma age ladies. And some of them didn't have children, so they were like my other family. I literally took care of them until they passed away too
Mhm.
sometimes. They lived in my home. They were truly like family. And
Mhm.
they had gotten to the place in their life when I was just 5 or 6 or whatever. They were already at the place where they were done with the
Yeah.
game. They were done pleasing others, so they were real. They had their own whatever they had, their home, whatever, they had built a life, but they didn't dress up to please. They When I one lady, I loved her so much, from Greece. She had every plastic surgery when it first came out. At 98 years old, she still wore the highest heels and dressed
Wow.
like, the little Greek dolls you see? She would always give me these Greek dolls, and she dressed just like that, just gorgeous. And I mean, people would be like, "Well, where is she going?" And it's like, but it made her feel good. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, when I get older, I wanna be just like her." She was
me
like,
too.
"That's great." And she went dancing and had this beautiful life. So I got to see it when these ladies were like, "Oh, the heck with this noise. I'm not gonna play this
Mhm.
game. I'm done." And it
Mhm.
was and I decided, well, okay, why do I even need to start playing this game? You
Yes.
always lose. You lose that game. No matter what, you're never enough for somebody that doesn't feel like they're enough.
Ah, this is so well said. I totally, totally resonate with that. And something that I'm noticing a lot in my work as a women's empowerment coach, it's the false core beliefs that we carry since we're young. I was sharing with you about some of mine, and how they actually started from conversations I've heard, and the meaning I made of those conversations for
Mhm.
how I would have to live my life to actually live a life that is acceptable, that
Mm,
is deemed good, you know.
right.
So the not enoughness disease is very rampant.
Yeah,
The
now
not
that's a pandemic.
not enough. Yes, and it shows up everywhere. I
Mhm.
know for myself when I was still in the corporate world, it was so hard for me to raise my hand during a board meeting to say, okay, here's this idea. And then, of course, somebody else would say it,
Oh,
and say
yes.
it in a way that wouldn't have been even better. And then everybody would be like, oh, wow, incredible, incredible. And I was like, damn, oh,
Mhm.
sorry.
That's
I
okay.
should
Yes,
have said
yes,
it.
I understand. Yes, and then what is it when you finally give yourself permission to say what comes to you?
Mhm.
All of a sudden, I know that point in my life when I started doing it, it was like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what needed to be said."
Yes.
And even if sometimes people don't love one thing you said, they know you're in your truth, that you're being
Mhm.
real, and so they'll come to you and say, "Okay, what is your real advice?" or "What do you really think of this?"
Mhm.
And they know it's gonna be not to please them. It's gonna be like, "This is what I really think." And
Mhm.
take
Yes,
it nothing personal, but this is where I'm at. And it was so freeing.
it
It was
is
really
free.
freeing. Yes.
You know, Sheila, one of the best um, piece of advice that I've ever heard was you can say anything, it's just about how you say it.
Mhm.
And the person who told me that opened up a portal for me to actually start daring to share more of my truth. It really took time. It's
Yeah.
still an ongoing process.
Mhm.
But now I just feel like it's a disservice to myself and to the other person if I don't say what's really in my head, in my heart,
Yeah.
because it's going to be in the space
Mhm.
between us in our relationship as colleagues, in our personal relationship, and nobody's going to win.
Right.
So I realized that whenever people were actually saying something that was very authentic to me, I was feeling even more trust
Mhm.
towards this person. And one day somebody told me when I said something, it was a no about something, but I said it in a very, it was diplomatic the way I said it, and I explained why. I remember. And this person said, just because you said that, I trust you even more. And I
Exactly.
love your candidness.
Yes.
And I even received two emails like this yesterday
Mm.
because I couldn't do something that somebody was expecting from me, like two people. So the permission that they gave me is actually opening this portal even more. So now it's even easier
Mm.
because I could feel that they were accepting my no and they actually trusted me more.
Right. Right. So now let's switch this talk to more about relationships. And what you just said makes me think about the different ways that men and women communicate. I have 5 boys and 1 daughter, and it's very different. And yet my daughter was more of a tomboy as a kid growing up with all these brothers, but it's that direct, like, if I want a message to one of the sons, I need to be so direct,
Mhm.
and they appreciate that. If I go and talk like women to women and go around the bush and tell a story, they're done. They're done. They're like, "What exactly did you want? Was
Yeah.
that what you were trying to say? Because I didn't even hear that. You went on this long
Mhm.
story and made it all nice and pretty, and I was lost." So it was almost this learning of how to be direct and honest. To It's a little different communication style. And
Yeah.
sometimes the guys are maybe, or the masculine energy, depending on your relationship choice,
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
the partner that's the masculine energy is going to be the one that'll be direct, and it's not meant to be hurtful, but it comes off that way because we want it packaged in a pretty little bow and all nice and feminine, and that's not the masculine.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
I'm really noticing with the clients I'm working with is that there are a lot of um, assumptions about what the other gender wants, or what the other person, depending just the
Mhm.
energy, needs and wants. And then a lot of adjustment to becoming
Yes.
this way.
Uh-oh.
And this is so exhausting
Yes.
and so inauthentic. And we were talking about authenticity earlier. So I think that when we're really able to just be, and that's really the feminine way of showing up, like being in this beingness as opposed to this doingness,
Yes.
it's way more authentic, and people can actually connect with us at a deeper level,
Mm.
can really see us, they can really hear us, and the way we're going to communicate is just going to be organically landing, you know. And I'm also noticing many clients that I'm working with, that they think that it's just a game,
Mm.
that it's just manipulation if they are trying to be a certain way. And in a way, it could be, if it's not us, if we don't really feel that it's our
Mm.
core essence that's being expressed. So my best lesson learned in my own life, and also by noticing what everybody else around me, for clients or friends, have been living, is that the really beautiful relationships
Yeah.
have been built on this level of trust that came from showing up in an authentic way on a consistent basis. The
Mhm.
consistency is something that brings safety. When we know that we can expect our partner or loved one to show up a certain way, of course, there are like surprises, and we also want this person to show up with all his or her flavors, of course, but there are like certain core things that we need to see on a consistent basis, like how
Mhm.
values are being expressed and lived on a day-to-day basis. So that brings a lot of safety, and for the more feminine energy, that's going to feel so good.
Mm,
That's
yes.
going to feel so nurturing.
Right.
And then the more feminine energy is going to be more likely to surrender,
Yeah.
because there's also this yearning, this longing to surrender, but also be
Yeah.
held
Yes.
by the more masculine energy, you
Yeah.
know, and know, okay, you're going to be there. I'm totally going to collapse right now,
Yes. Yes.
but you're
Yes.
here. So
It's
hold
such
it.
a beautiful feeling, and
Mhm.
I when I had my house burned down, which was why I wrote that book in the beginning,
Yeah.
I had one guy show up, and he helped me. I didn't
Mhm.
ask. He was there, and
Mhm.
he helped, and he was like, I'm used to being in charge and
Yeah.
leading and guiding and helping, and he was like, I got this. I've got the plan. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, and I could just cry and feel safe, and I was like, oh wow. That's like put me in the feminine. I said, okay, do you have like a twin brother? Are you in a relationship? Like literally, like really, I'm like, because you're it, you are awesome. And I mean, anytime I needed something, he was there. And that present, and saying, I don't have to be in the masculine, I can be in the feminine, is
Yeah,
like, I when you feel safe, you don't have to defend yourself.
exactly.
And I can't tell you, like, probably the only guy I have felt so safe with in my
Mhm.
life.
This
And
is a great
it's simple.
thing.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing. It really is. And
the masculine. Go ahead, please.
to be really authentic. I wasn't even trying to like look good for him. Like my
Mhm.
house burned down. I do not think I put makeup on or you know, I was like clothes on my back, the whole like a mess. And it didn't matter. It didn't,
Mhm.
it didn't matter. We knew each other for a while and as friends, and I was still the real me, and that made a big difference.
I
It
can
really did.
imagine.
Yeah, he didn't see no makeup. What makeup? It wasn't even a priority. It didn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sheila, what you said is so powerful, and I'm sure that actually, I hope that every woman had at least one experience like this,
Yes.
because it totally changes how we show up in this specific container with this specific person.
Hmm.
And being able to soften, that's a real gift that we offer to ourselves,
Right.
because then we can really allow our essence to be expressed.
Yeah.
And you said it very beautifully, like not defending
Hmm.
yourself. You didn't feel that you had to defend yourself. And
Right.
I'm coming from a background where around men I had to be very defended
Right.
and be uh, cautious about how I would be perceived. I really wanted to be perceived as very technically strong, you know? So
Mhm.
I wouldn't really show emotions when I was with my team. I didn't really want them to feel that I'm not credible if maybe I have some emotions, if I have like maybe too much empathy, if I'm too kind. They are going, because they were valuing more the toughness in
Mhm.
this specific container. Not all engineers are like that, of course, but where I was, that's what was valued. But being able to come home and be undefended and be able to soften,
Yeah.
to me, that's luxury.
Mhm.
It's
It really,
luxury. It's
it really is.
beautiful in ways of being expressed. Yeah, you said it very well. Being
Mhm.
undefended, that's really something that allows us to create this beautiful connection with the other person when we're the more feminine energy. And looking for that quality. And this is a question I always ask my clients in the how did I feel about myself in the presence of this person.
Mhm.
I really give them this insight when you are maybe on a date or with somebody that you really consider spending more time with. Ask yourself the question: what's my experience of myself in their presence? Do I feel that I have to be different? Do I feel that I'm not enough and I have to compensate in some way and
Mm.
talk about my achievements? My achievement with some people, it's like that because you feel that this is what they expect and you feel that you need to fulfill this expectation. With other people, you're going to feel like, oh, I can just be, I can relax, let my hair
Yes.
down and just be, and they're like totally cool. And
Mm.
with some other people, so like really being a very aware of how we feel about ourselves. Do we feel enough? Do we feel like, oh my god, with this person I feel like I'm on the top of the world, that I'm a queen? With
Yes.
this person I feel like I'm a queen. And this is something that we have inside of us already. And with some people, it's going to be revealed, it's going to be expressed because we feel that we're comfortable and we're undefended, like you said. And
Mhm.
with other people, we're going to feel like we need to wear masks
Right.
and we need to um, just compensate in a way.
Exactly. It's really funny. I went to the dentist and I had dental work done and it wasn't cool and it wasn't fun and it was painful and get the old
Mhm.
cavity out and put so it's not mercury, whatever. And I did that
Mhm.
recently and I had the dental office in stitches. We were laughing. I was like, wait, let's meditate. I need air again. I mean, I am like a baby. in the den. I am not like, and they were like, "Aren't you like a psychologist? Don't you like have a book?" And like, "How are you like and I'm like, "Oh, you just have no idea. I just don't like this dental stuff." I said, "Let's do some more. Okay, I'm good." And we would do, and they were laughing and I was laughing. And then the last treatment, I finally was finished. And the dentist said, "You know, there's another dentist who's really interested in maybe going out with you. I've been talking and sharing about you, and he's looked at your thing." And I was like, "How interesting." I was in my feminine and so scared of just like, okay, there's the drill again, this whole, and it was interesting because I was like, absolutely not trying to attract anyone. I was at the dentist's office and it was just,
you are yourself.
And I was just, but myself was, even though I hate this treatment, I need to do it. And it was like, and I'm so grateful that I had the money to pay for this, and then I could do it when I needed. One of the cavities was coming out, hurt, and you could see me in short notice and help me. And I said, I know it really hurts, and we're laughing, but I'm really grateful. Imagine there's people that can't. What a terrible thing. And I'm so grateful that I can, and it's so nice that you came in. So it was this whole, like, that was just me. And so it's funny how that happens. We don't have to play an act or a role or it was that was like, well, that's attractive with my mouth and, spit everywhere. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to give a special thanks to Folio, our sponsor. And one of the things about Folio that I love is my email has been really full. So if you collaborate on work through your email, you have to try Folio. Folio by Ametry uses AI to transform the chaos of your email into a powerful deal organizer, project manager, and workflow compressor. The average Folio user saves over 20 hours a month by skipping tedious and repetitive email tasks that get in the way of doing the work that actually needs to be done. See why over 100,000 business professionals rely on Folio to keep their projects, deals, and clients on track. Go to tryfolio.pro. That's try, T-R-Y, folio, Folio.pro to learn more and start saving time on email today. No download, no setup, or credit cards required. That's tryfolio.pro. What do you get? Do you get a lot of people? I know I do, where it's, I'll have women that are like, okay, he hasn't called me back. Is he going to call me back? I really feel like he's the one. But how come he doesn't talk to me that much? All that. And I feel like, to me, I feel like the question is the answer, because you'll know when
Yes.
it's aligned. You
And
wouldn't.
this is again the same question that I was sharing earlier. What's my experience of myself in their presence or in their absence? When they are really not showing up, what am I feeling? Am I feeling that I'm not enough? Maybe I did something wrong. Do I start to analyze the conversations and assume that it's on me, it's my fault? Or do I just say, okay, maybe it's just busy? And maybe did it give me enough safety to actually trust that if he's not calling for like, I don't know, one day it's going to be still okay? Or is he somebody who's actually communicating ahead? I will be on a trip, so you're not going to hear from me, but really I care about you. But as soon as I'm like at this place, I'm calling you. So also it gives you insights about what's important for you. I know that for me, clear communication is key. I prefer too much communication than not enough. I want over communication even.
Right.
I want to really be told, yeah, okay, this is what you can expect. I'm not going to be available at the time. I want more. I want more information.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a lot of guys don't give a lot, or if they're not that interested. When people are first starting to date, or they're dating different people and they don't get a call back or something, and it's like, well, that's a no. But they
Mhm.
want it to work. And I think it's almost like, but do you really want something that's not aligned to work? Because how long is that gonna, if you're like that whole thing about being authentic that you're saying, if we're playing a role and we're trying to be what we think they want, we lose ourselves. Now,
Mhm.
that can go on for a while, but the reality is the real you is gonna like one day say, "Oh, you know what? The heck with this. I don't wanna pretend like I'm somebody else. That's
Yeah.
not who I am."
Yes.
There's compromise and then there's losing yourself.
Completely. So the work, when I really focus with relationships with women, is always about the person I'm working with. It's
Right.
always about really discovering what are their false core beliefs, because this is going to be the filter with which we're going to see life, and we're going to find evidence of that to be true in everything, in our love life, in our career, in everything. If we have this four core belief that we're not enough, we're
Mm,
going to see that in the career. We're not going to get the promotion that we want. We're not going to get the man or the woman that we want. And we're going to always say, okay, that's because I'm not enough. Maybe I should put more makeup on. I should wear better clothes. I should, do, but the artificial things, the superficial things. But really deep inside, this work of really uh, finding the deeper truth
right.
about who we are, that really opens up a lot of
Mhm.
new things for us.
Yes, yes. I can remember going to a Starbucks, which a lot of Starbucks, you're in Paris and I'm in Beverly Hills. So just
Mhm.
for those listening in, we're on two
Mhm.
different parts of the world and it's so exciting. So we go to the coffee shop and it was one day where I had been painting. And like I was painting and designing. I get into this design like art stuff and I'm redesigning a room or whatever to make it beautiful. And that's just like it's almost like a meditation in motion. I'm in the flow. I am being.
Mhm.
And I was just wanted some
Mhm.
coffee so I could keep going. And again, I rarely like go without things done, but I really was like, nobody will see me. I don't even know anybody at this Starbucks, and the most handsome guy with the nicest car. I remember his car. and and he came up to approach me and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I pretended to get a call and I left. And I said, "Oh man." And I
Oh
never saw him again. And I was like, "Darn it." I should have just let him
my.
approach me. But I was like, "Oh no, I look like, you know what? Like I'm painting. I look terrible."
Oh.
I don't expect to meet anybody there, so it was really, and I questioned, well, why did I do that? What, I really wasn't in a place where I wanted a relationship at that point, maybe,
Mhm.
but, you know, and you think, God, I wasn't trying again, and there they are. So
You're
that's
so
the secret.
cute.
Just don't try so hard, or I don't even know, because I feel better usually when I'm dressed up a little bit, even when I am painting. But I had showered and just like everything, no makeup, everything was, and I was like in my next sweat outfit, sweats, to just go
Mhm.
paint
Mhm.
again. So
Mhm.
it was, isn't that,
Whatever makes us feel good about ourselves, I think that people are going to feel the energy.
I,
So
yeah,
yeah,
how
that's very clear, because we're going to be comfortable, we're going to be relaxed, we're not going to be self-conscious,
so
and we're going to have this
approachable.
confidence too.
I looked safe and approachable,
Ah,
maybe, because I was
yes.
comfortable. I wasn't like gonna say, "No, I don't wanna
Ye-
talk to you," but I kinda did, but
yes.
you know what I mean? It wasn't like, "Okay, this person's out to look for a guy to go
Mhm.
for a date and get his money, or
Mhm.
I don't know what guys think, but whatever. It wasn't that vibe. It was,
That makes so much sense.
yeah. Yeah, so what about that? What dating tips do you have for maybe somebody that is getting back out there and dating again after a relationship ended or divorce or whatever? What kind of advice do you have for people in that realm?
First of all, I believe that it's very important to have had a very clear completion of the previous relationship, because a new relationship doesn't start when we meet the new person. It really starts when we end things, and how we're able to complete in a conscious way, in a way that we're really feeling that there was some healing, and that everything that needed to be healed has been healed. I'm
Right.
a certified conscious uncoupling coach, and I noticed that sometimes when I work with people who have been some divorce or very tough separation, sometimes they are being told, "Oh, with time, everything is going to be okay. Don't worry, with time." But what I'm noticing is that sometimes there is some chronic grief. Some
Mm,
people were grieving for years and years and years their past relationship, and
mhm.
they're not able to move on. So even if they say, okay, now I'm going to go back to the dating world, if they haven't really taken the time to sit with their feelings, we really feeling it all with no bypassing,
Right.
because it's going to somatize, or it's going to show up in a different way, and it's going to sabotage the next relationship.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
my best advice before getting into dating after having been separated or off uh, dating, it's really to make sure that we have really done the work,
Yes.
and there is no bypassing for that, because it's going to make the process of dating much, much, much easier.
Mhm.
Yes. So I'm not giving you some technique, do this, do that for the dating, because I'm noticing that just that has been so powerful for the woman I've been working with. And of course, having clarity about our own false core beliefs,
Right.
because that's also what we're going to bring, and that's the filters that we will have. So really coming as a version of ourselves that is connected to our deeper truth about who we really are,
Mhm.
about what we're bringing to this container of this new potential relationship, and having like this awareness of our qualities, and tapping into our inner queen, tapping into our inner queen, and being curious. I know that the queen archetype won't speak to everybody.
Mhm.
Some women are not going to feel connected, but maybe they're going to feel connected to maybe the goddess archetype. So bring your inner goddess, or they're going to feel more connected to some other archetype. But what I mean is to really connect to something that is way deeper, and really connected to your essence, and bring that and
Mm,
say, if I was really embodying my inner queen right now, how would I show up? How would I answer this question? What would I wear? How would I even feel after he told me that? Would I think it's okay? Would I, so really, that's also um, an insight that I would have for somebody who's coming back into dating.
so nice, so nice, and very important. Sometimes I don't know, when I first divorced after a long time, it was an arranged marriage, and it wasn't aligned, and I mean, I tried so many things and to try to make
Mhm,
it work, whatever, but it's like forcing, because we're
mhm,
two opposites completely, and it
mhm,
wasn't the best situation. So getting out of that, it took a long, long, long time, and I had the minute I'm out, every friend and woman was like, "Let's get you married off," and I was like, "Just escaped? Are you kidding? Are you crazy? What are you talking about?" Like, I'm not even like my mind is not even going there right now. I need to find myself. I need to get myself, cleared up. I have children that
Mhm.
are grown now. I need to make sure everybody's good. I had to do my own time. And
Yes.
and I was okay. I was not in a rush. And I
Mhm.
think that gave me a lot of, I don't know, clarity about
Mhm.
who I am. There's an identity thing that happens when you're in a relationship and you leave, and
True.
your kids grow up and your mom, and then it's a different kind of a relationship there. And so there's this identity that shifts, and
Mhm.
you have to be really clear about that. And I couldn't even imagine like, no,
Yes.
it was just a definite no. And it wasn't about, there was wonderful people that approached me at those times, but it was like, nope, not ready. And I think, okay, the guy or the masculine energy person, if they're not ready for a relationship that, a long-term commitment thing, and
Mhm.
that's your goal,
Mhm.
that may be a waste of time.
Of course.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
not
You're so
personal.
right.
It's not about you. It has
Completely.
nothing, they're not there. They're just
Completely.
not. Yeah. And that's okay.
And
That's
that's okay. Like you said, we all have our own timing. And you said also something that is very important is that you were able to honor your own timing when
yes,
you were still in this transition phase. You allowed yourself to stay in it longer than people would have expected you to. They were pushing you
right.
uh, back to meeting someone. And some most of the time people are well-meaning, but it's not necessarily what we need the most at that time. And honoring where we are, and not rushing, not bypassing the necessary steps. And there are stages. A separation, it's just like it's really grieving, because it's a death in some way of that old relationship, of that old identity. You talked about
Yes.
identity too, that
Mhm.
we had in that specific container with that specific person. So
Right.
we also need to allow ourselves to go through the different stages of the grave as well. And
Yes.
it can happen faster or very slow, it depends, but time alone is not sufficient.
Right. It's more doing, it's when you're ready. It's just like grieving anything or making a change. Everybody has their own time. And
Mhm.
to honor that, why would you want to bring into a relationship when you're not there yet?
Of course,
That wouldn't be very good.
completely.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
and then to later finding aligned relationship and everything, for me, it was like, "Oh my gosh, thank goodness," because I knew what I wanted, what I didn't want, and what worked, and what, like, I kinda knew where I was at. I have friends in different cultures where, um, marriage is, like, so important.
It is
And
true.
it's a big d and I love them dearly, and every time I see them, they're like, "We've got guys for you." I'll be like,
Mhm, mhm,
"What?
mhm, mhm,
Oh my gosh, it's so cute. We wanna marry you
mhm.
off." And I was like, "Oh, no, let's not do that." But it's coming from a beautiful space of caring for my well-being and caring for
Yeah,
me as a friend and wanting the best for me. It's just we know what the best is for our own timing, for sure.
yeah. Sometimes had some colleagues who would go on vacation single, and then they would come back with the ring. Oh, I'm engaged, and they would show us the pictures. And some of them would say, "Oh, actually, my parents just put an ad, and I got to actually meet great people,
Mm,
and we clicked. And actually, I've met their partners, their wives, and wow, I don't know how it worked, but really,
wow.
for
Yes.
some of them, it really worked very well.
So
But
good.
it was very important, like you said,
Yes,
in
it's
this.
huge, and there's a lot of different cultures like that. So it was interesting that I remember going to a friend's religious temple as a guest, and the guys only are allowed to marry in that religion. And so they all want you to convert because you're a woman. And there's very few women that join. And I was like, oh no, I'm good. I'm okay. I don't want to do that. But it was because they're following these guidelines and rules about you can only have a relationship or marriage with a woman in that particular religion. And so I was like, oh no, because that wouldn't be me. I don't even know much about that religion. So there are a lot, and they were so desperate because they're not allowed to date outside of it. And that was huge. Poor guys. Poor guy. I mean, there was all guys and like very few women. It was interesting. So I'd like to now switch over to sharing about a big event that's coming up. So I'd love for you to share about the event that's happening soon.
Yeah, so in a few days, I'm hosting a virtual retreat. It's called the Magnetic Queen Retreat, How to Be Remarkably Sovereign. So for over 10 days, I'm interviewing experts in different areas, and it's going to be about love and relationships, intimacy, career, leadership, communication, women's empowerment, and the theme is really how to tap into our inner queen, how to step into our power, and how to really express our feminine essence and own our light fully. So you can sign up to be part of our event by going to queensofradiance.com/retreat.
All right, wonderful. And I look forward to seeing you all there. And then if someone's interested in your coaching or work, how can they connect directly to you as well?
Yes, thank you for asking. So by going to queensofradiance.com as well, you can contact me. There's a contact form, and you can send me a message, and I'm going to send you a link for us to have a conversation, so we can assess what would be the best way for me to support you. And there's also an application form that I can send. And when you go to the same page, queensofradiance.com, I also have gifts for you to really tap into your inner queen and connect to your radiance. So there are a lot of beautiful freebies that you will really love, I'm sure.
Outstanding. All right, Senami. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
Okay. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you. To be honest, I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mack Show on YouTube.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMack.com today.
Tehibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau de Arco Super Tea helps you build the red corpuscles in the blood, which can carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1-pound package of tea is $34.95 plus shipping. To order, please visit lovemysupertea.com. That's love, L-O-V-E, my, M-Y, super, SUPERTEA.com. So the complete website is lovemysupertea.com, or call 818-288-4128, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, California time. That's lovemysupertea.com at 818-288-4128.